Jimin Clarification is not arrogant. BTS's Jungkook attitude actually makes the army more respectful. BTS's big name is back in the cyber public spotlight. This time, it's not about achievement, not about music, but about their attitude and how they behave in the midst of a global spotlight that never goes out. Jimin, one of the BTS members who is known for being gentle and full of empathy, was suddenly dragged into the issue of arrogant after pieces of old videos and comments were again raised by netizens. But in the midst of the whirlpool of accusations, a clarification appeared, not only to defend himself, but also to open the eyes of many people about the other side of BTS that has often been overlooked. And most surprisingly, Jungkook's attitude in this situation actually made the army around the world even more respectful. The issue began when a snippet of Jimin's old interview went viral on social media. In the short piece, Jimin's facial expression was considered cold, his answer was considered too short, and his gestures were considered unfriendly by some netizens. The narrative develops quickly. The word arrogant began to be thrown around without context, without looking at the whole situation, and without considering the tremendous pressure that a global idol has faced. For the public who only see in passing, the assessment feels easy. But for the army who had followed Jimin's journey from the beginning, the accusation was painful. It didn't take long for Jimin to finally speak up. In a live broadcast, and also through indirect statements that he conveyed carefully, Jimin explained that he did not mean to be cold or condescending to anyone. She admitted that at that time her physical and mental condition was not in the best shape. A busy schedule made her exhausted, and the pressure to always look perfect sometimes made her look different from what people expected. The clarification was delivered without a defensive tone, without blaming anyone. It was precisely there that many people realized that Jimin was still an ordinary human being. But behind Jimin's clarification, there was one other thing that slowly stole the public's attention. Jungkook's attitude. The youngest member of BTS doesn't talk much, doesn't make long statements, and doesn't get involved in heated debates on social media. But his way of behaving speaks louder than words. On several occasions after the issue was raised, Jungkook looked increasingly protective of Jimin. Small gestures such as standing closer, making sure Jimin was okay, and attentive gazes were clearly recorded by the camera and realized by the army. For many fans, Jungkook's attitude is nothing new. Since his debut, Jungkook has been known as a figure who rarely shows his emotions openly, but is always present when other members need him. In this situation, Jungkook did not choose the path of sensation. He does not seek public defense, does not try to form an opinion, but rather focuses on one thing: taking care of the person he considers family. And it was precisely from that silence that Army's respect grew deeper. The Army began to compare two very contrasting responses. On the one hand, there are netizens who easily label someone arrogant just from a few seconds of video footage. On the other hand, there is Jungkook who chooses empathy, chooses loyalty, and chooses not to confuse the atmosphere. Many fans judge that this is the real form of maturity. Not all problems need to be answered in words. Sometimes, consistent presence and attitude are much more meaningful. Jimin himself, after that clarification, seemed more open to fans. He several times expressed his gratitude to the army who continue to believe and understand. In his tone, it is clearly felt that there is fatigue, but there is also relief, as if the burden that he had been latent little by little lifted. He insists that he always tries to be humble, always remembers where he comes from, and never considers popularity as a reason to feel superior to anyone. The army's response was remarkable. Social media was filled with messages of support, not just for Jimin, but also for Jungkook. Many wrote that Jungkook's attitude reminded them of the meaning of true friendship. In the harsh, competitive, and often cold world of entertainment, Jungkook shows that simple values like empathy and loyalty are still very much alive. He does not take advantage of the situation to assert himself. On the contrary, he dampens the ego and chooses to be a support. The arrogant issue originally directed at Jimin slowly lost its strength. The facts, context, and attitude of the BTS members themselves prove that the accusations are unfounded. Many initially skeptical netizens began to delete their comments. Some even publicly apologized. This became an important lesson about how dangerous it is to judge a person only by small pieces without understanding the whole story. In the end, this story is not just about Jimin's clarification or Jungkook's attitude. It's a portrait of how humans deal with tremendous pressure, how friendships are tested under the public spotlight, and how an empathetic reticence can be far more powerful than 1,000 pleadings. BTS, once again, shows that they are not just a global music group, but also a set of people with strong values. For the ARMY, their respect for Jungkook is now not just because of talent or achievement, but because of character. And for Jimin, this clarification is not just self-defense, but a reminder that honesty and sincerity will eventually find their own way. In the midst of a world that is quick to judge, this story is a breath of fresh air that truth and empathy still have a place. Continuing with this story, public attention slowly shifted from a mere snob issue to a deeper reflection on how idols are treated as human beings. Many are beginning to realize that the standards imposed on BTS, especially on Jimin and Jungkook, are often unreasonable. They are required to be always friendly, always smiling, always warm, with no room for fatigue or fragility. In fact, behind the magnificent stage and the cheers of millions of spectators, there is an exhausted body and a heart that can also be injured. Within a few days after Jimin's clarification, BTS's interactions in front of the public felt different. Not in a negative sense, but rather more honest. Jimin no longer forced a smile every second, and Jungkook remained by his side in a calm manner. Many fans caught this small change as a form of courage. The courage to appear as you are, without the mask of perfection that has been imposed by the industry and public expectations. Jungkook's attitude was further highlighted when a backstage recording was widely circulated. In the short video, Jungkook is seen patting Jimin on the shoulder slowly, then whispering something inaudible. But Jimin's expression changed afterwards, from tense to more relaxed. That brief moment served as clear proof that support does not always have to be broadcast out loud. ARMY also interpreted that Jungkook, as the youngest member, was often an emotional support for his brothers. Many longtime BTS fans remember their journey back in the early days of debut. Jungkook, who was still young at that time, often looked awkward and dependent on the young, including Jimin. Now, the position seems to be reversed. Jungkook grew into a mature figure, not only professionally, but also emotionally. And in this situation, he reciprocates all the support he used to receive in the most sincere way. The issue also opens a wider discussion about cancel culture and instant judgment on social media.